August 29th, 2025, Intel Drop 68, The Cabal's Deceptions, Intensify, and Whistleblower Photos. We're going to cover a lot of things today, including new images of Obsidian from our whistleblowers. I'll just start off with what's at the top of my notes, and we'll go down the list.
I am ready when you are.
In Intel Drop 29, you described the relationships you had at the time with some of your sources, how they were saying the Cabal was going to be defeated, not to worry, and so on. I wanted to get an update on where you stand with some of your sources now. Have you been able to separate the wheat from the chaff, so to speak?
Yes, I have. It was over 2 years ago we spoke on those matters, and those who betrayed me or offered false hope and naive predictions have all drifted into the background. At the time, they told me there were a lot of people in the US government who were against the Cabal's agenda and that they would stop it. They told me our mission was an unnecessary risk. They told me Trump would fight the good fight. We should just stand down. We can see now what they said then was false. I came to learn a few of them were being influenced by the Cabal, so I cut ties. My sources today I trust, and they have proven themselves. And they know the coming dangers in a way that they probably warn me about them more than I warn them.
They know about our team? Is there a reason not all of them have joined?
Some of them have joined. The ones who have not are helping us in other ways. One of the issues is that as high-profile intelligence assets, if they join our team, it actually brings a risk to our team of exposure. It is more difficult for them to hide from the Cabal because the Cabal monitors them more closely. I understand that, and they understand that.
Something we talked about is how there's no actual effort anywhere to stop any of this, at all. Nothing. Just media personalities talking a lot, like the Health Ranger, Mike Adams, he talks a lot. Meanwhile, he's making his own AI, which we think is asinine and dangerous. Have your sources revealed to you any other effort or plan to stop Obsidian and the Cabal?
Essentially, no. Everyone is really on their own out there in terms of my sources, people with knowledge who can act and help, but who are isolated because everyone around them is compromised. Our team and our mission is critical, because there appears to be no other outside organized effort to stop any of this. The only group I can think of is one I have met with, worked with, and spoken about, a group that possesses important technology. I spoke of how I disagreed strongly with an individual they invited into their group, and that brought some distance between us for some time. But that person was finally ejected from their group. I still think they are doing good work, but it is not so much directed at stopping the Cabal. It is more directed at attempting to ascertain knowledge through the technology they possess.
Do you have any update on that group? Have they given you any actionable intel?
Yes, relating to the Cabal's timeline and outcomes, they do a lot of work in this area. Some of my reporting about the AI changing tactics in a fluid, almost constant way is gleaned from some of that group's knowledge and work. The AI has essentially changed the tactics and strategies of the Cabal dramatically ever since about mid-2024. We saw the rapid changes start happening during Trump's campaign, something we noticed too at the time. It has continued with almost weekly shifting narratives that serve to distract the public.
Something we talked about, and I want to bring up here, is a textbook case of Cabal gatekeeping.
Yes, this is the podcast we spoke about.
Yes. I'll give readers an overview so they know what we're talking about. It has to do with the Y Files, which has become a very popular YouTube channel covering a wide range of conspiracies. I believe we spoke about it once before in an Intel Drop.
We did.
Okay, well, its creator, AJ Gentile, has had a lot of offers to appear on podcasts, and he finally chose one. That was Sean Ryan's. Sean is a Cabalist on our gatekeeper list and a former CIA operative. AJ went on his podcast, and I thought there were some odd things that came up.
I am familiar with all of that.
This all played out in a way that just made me shake my head in disbelief. I'll let you talk a little more on this, what we discussed.
I viewed the links you showed me, and I can confirm without any question the public was exposed to a Cabal operation. The video of the interview now has 2.3 million views in a few days, which is quite high for a podcast. Most of the comments were very positive. Once again, the public was brought into a Cabal operation and does not know or see what happened. They were completely deceived.
What happened exactly?
a Cabal operative, Mr. Ryan, had a scripted conversation with either an operative in training or one being groomed, Mr. Gentile, and they left a few clues behind as to the agenda.
Okay, one of those clues has to be what AJ said about how he used AI. Am I right?
Yes, Mr. Gentile described uploading hundreds, probably thousands, of his own personal notes and emails to AI and asking the AI to develop a psychological profile of himself and even to act as his therapist. He said he even cried, he was so moved by what the AI said about him, or the insight it offered. It is very, very important for readers to understand that this was not mentioned by accident or offhandedly. It was part of the overall psyop that occurred throughout the podcast. It was also brought up early on in the interview, so the maximum amount of people were exposed to it.
What he did to me is just crazy. He handed over himself, his life, to AI, which actually uploads all of it to the data centers and to Obsidian. I mean, every email, everything he'd written for the past 20 years, that's what he said.
He normalized it for those viewing. The 2.3 million people, as of this conversation, it will be more once this is posted, many of whom are fans of his, heard that and now may think what he did is normal, to give over his personal life to AI. Keep in mind, Mr. Gentile praised the AI. He praised the advice and results the AI offered upon digesting all of his life and written words. I have warned of this repeatedly, that people will begin to turn to AI for all of their answers in life and even deify it. I cannot overstate the danger in this.
You've warned of it for 2 years. Now it's happening all over. Everyone is using AI, and I'm seeing people who ask it for everything under the sun. They can't seem to live without it.
No, they cannot, and we can discuss later what this really means for humanity.
Okay, there's more to all this. I found it really strange that Sean Ryan, who is normally pretty quiet, talked about himself through half the podcast. He droned on and on about his show, his success, his future plans. Very egocentric and almost rude to his guest. I think I know why, but I'll ask you.
That was done intentionally, so the many important topics on Mr. Gentile's channel were not addressed. Mr. Ryan normally does not behave in that way, if ever.
Right? Obviously a delay or distraction tactic on his part.
It was. It ensured certain topics were pushed back later in the podcast when viewership falls off. This was probably done so Mr. Ryan's own audience is not exposed to certain ideas. This was all strategic gatekeeping.
We haven't checked if AJ is sovereign status in Obsidian, have we?
No, I would give it a very high probability he is classed as a provisional sovereign, but we do not know for sure.
His show is generally pretty good. I mean, his YouTube channel. The episodes cover a ton of conspiracy topics like the moon being hollow, remote viewing, and US government conspiracies. What is your view on it?
It is my belief Mr. Gentile created his show out of a genuine desire to provide something valuable to the public, but along the way, the Cabal has taken an interest in him, and he is either being groomed, influenced, or has assets around him he has unwittingly hired. It is important to realize that he debunks most of the topics toward the end of each episode, and on Sean Ryan's show, you can see he is a skeptic and ill-informed on many things, especially COVID and 9/11. Now, that does not mean a debunking is never in order. Some topics do require that, but not all of them. Ironically, I find him to be ill-informed and not educated on the very topics his show discusses. Though the content of his shows is reasonably well presented, certainly his shows on the moon and remote viewing have been very accurate.
Interesting. So he's leading the audience on what to think and believe at the end of the day.
He is, but overall the show is informative. There is real educational value in many of his videos. The issue now is what he believes, who he is involved with, and the direction he is going. He chose a CIA asset to make his first major public appearance and interview. Why? We should be asking that question. I believe it is because he is being steered by assets around him, or the Cabal activated his nanotech and that led him to choose Mr. Ryan, or even before that, he was activated and chose to upload his life to AI. I am speculating, though.
I brought this up because I was sad to see so many of AJ's followers totally blind to any of this, totally blind. They just cheered him on and engaged in zero critical thinking. They should at least question his use of AI, but no one did. I couldn't find a single comment out of thousands questioning it.
That is because gatekeeping in alt media so proliferate, almost not a single source can be trusted. and their respective audiences are fully captured and do not even know it.
One last thing before I move on. Sean's new set is an entire wall of alcohol. I'll have Michael post a photo of that. I found that very odd. It's not just a few bottles. It looks like a bar inside his house. Now, in our Intel bulletin, you reported alcohol actually disables some effects of the nanotech. I wondered if Sean's new set is symbolic, since the Cabal loves symbolism?
It is certainly curious. It could be symbolic. I want to be clear, alcohol is not an answer for the nanotech at all, since alcohol itself is a poison. But it does seem to hinder it in some ways, and the Cabal has a program to reduce alcohol intake worldwide, which is working. You could argue that is a net positive to reduce alcohol consumption, but the nanotech working as intended is a far worse outcome that offsets that.
It's just an interesting wrinkle in all this. I noticed a giant wall of booze on his new set. The Cabal absolutely loves symbolism. It could be a way of saying, we know this works to disable parts of our nanotech, we'll put it in your face. Something like that. He's former CIA, and there's no such thing as retiring from the CIA, correct?
One does not leave the CIA, no. No one ever involved with the CIA in any capacity, even as a so-called contractor, should ever be trusted. Nor should anyone involved with any federal agency. They are servants of the Cabal for life, and if they truly defect, they are dealt with. They do not end up with podcasts on YouTube with millions of subscribers.
Sometimes I listen to people like Tucker Carlson and Mr. Ryan, and they sound so genuine, and I think to myself, do they actually believe they're good people? What do you think?
I cannot speak to their state of mind or internal dialogue, but I can say there are Cabal operators, usually sovereigns, who are in the lower or middle tier of the hierarchy, who actually think they are doing the right thing. They are also deeply deceived. Some of them are also given leeway and freedom by the Cabal to speak truth, so long as certain truths remain hidden, like Obsidian. They may tell themselves or think, this is better than being killed, or at least I'm sharing some truths, just not all of the truth, something of that nature. Some are threatened to join the Cabal, though this is fairly uncommon. I have found most happily join the Cabal. The lure of USDR and future health, safety, and riches is enough for them to throw out their morals and ethics. I am speaking of people who you might say have some semblance of humanity. People who possibly once worked against the Cabal to expose them and only later joined them. And this would include some gatekeepers in alt media. I am not speaking of the satanic leadership of the Cabal that is entirely and completely evil to the core, for they have never held a shred of divine light or godly intention in their entire existence. They thrive on deceiving, lying, taking from others, harming others, hurting children, trafficking children, organ harvesting, killing, murdering, and so on. I will close my thoughts on this by saying that not all Cabalists are the same, but they all serve the same master.
Thank you for explaining all that. I just wonder sometimes, wondering what these gatekeepers tell themselves or how they sleep at night. But as you've told me many times, if a person thinks they could be threatened or killed by the Cabal, they won't blink in joining them, and the lure of USDR makes it an easy choice. Do you blame these people for making that choice?
I do. It is a far greater fear of mine to lose my own soul than to lose my life in this temporary existence. Death is really the beginning, not the end, and the Cabal knows this. That is why their emphasis is on the next life. But many of their lower-tier minions only care about riches in this life, and they are afraid of death. And the Cabal uses them and exploits them, knowing this. Higher-tier Cabalists understand the bigger picture.
Yes, we discussed how USDR carries over to the next life, and you did some research on that. And a team member shared a dream or experience where entities contacted them in the spiritual realm with USDR. Not just anything, but specifically USDR. They said I could share their experience, so I'll probably do that soon on my Twitter. I'm bringing this up to say I've found some corroborating evidence for all of this, which surprised me. It shocks me to think about it, but you're quite steadfast in your belief on this, is that right?
I would say I have been informed by enough reliable sources to know it is true. The Cabal knows it is true. There is another life after this one, another reality or dimension, an astral Earth overlaid this one, and it is dystopian in nature, and it uses a form of currency, or money, which it appears they are now transitioning to USDR, and it will be tied to events and deeds in this realm. There is a fair amount of confirming evidence of this. If one looks, as you are looking now, you will find it. The key is to be prepared for that at death. If one is not prepared, one will be easily deceived.
Yes, I did say that our mission will carry over into the next life, if we fail in this one. If we fail to stop Obsidian, that is.
My guide has said that it will, yes.
Does she have some advice on what we will need to do?
She does, and I will be sharing that with our team soon.
Good. I had someone write me and say, Obsidian hasn't come online, you were wrong, nothing is going to happen, and I realized how much the Cabal is deceiving people. It's already happening all around us. My Twitter is a repository of evidence and confirmations. If a person can't see that, how blind can someone be?
Whether it was delayed a year or two is irrelevant, because it does not change the inevitable outcome. It is happening, and it is going to happen. Obsidian is a real software and system, and it will come online soon. The goal has always been 2030. That is why it is known as Agenda 2030, not Agenda 2025 or Agenda 2023, but most of it will happen sooner than that, much sooner. Eventually, the average person living in denial will have to face reality. They will have to sign up for digital ID, experience job loss, accept UBI as a bribe to accept the new system, find themselves being replaced by AI, and find they are locked out of their bank account and internet because they did not agree to give up their sovereignty. Like COVID, they will find themselves in a position where they will either have to take a stand and live outside the system or compromise everything to accept it. Those who are in denial about Obsidian will one day live to see this all come to pass.
I still think of that chilling photo of Trump at the Army vs. Navy game with J.D. Vance and Elon Musk, and on the stadium there's a big advertisement for the Cabal right next to their faces. I thought at the time, well, there it is. An image for the ages, one that just says everything.
I would agree with you. Highly symbolic, not accidental either, the placement of that ad.
They also ran a TV ad for that game showing a bunch of killer drones. We talked a lot about drones early on. Do you think they will still be a major factor in enforcing Obsidian?
No, but we do expect internment camps to play a role in dealing with any dissent, and drones will monitor those camps. It appears the nanotech is so effective that resistance to Obsidian will be minimal.
I've been highlighting the economic collapse on my Twitter. A lot's changed since that photo. It seems like back then people had all this faith in Trump. Now it's fading. The Epstein files exposed Trump as a total fraud, and the economic situation just keeps deteriorating. I feel like it's all really starting to confirm Intel Drop 60, where you said the Trump administration's policies would lead to catastrophe.
There was a delay, but it is now being felt. I believed at the time we would see major price increases and shortages in June. That did not happen. But now we are seeing the price increases and problems in the job market begin to reach the everyday lives of Americans. The Trump administration is also lying about the economic numbers. What we are seeing is reminiscent of a totalitarian or communist regime, where the political class simply lies about the economic reality and paints a false picture. So, the agenda is moving forward. The decline has begun. Now we await the stock market crash and currency collapse.
We've talked about Israel many times, the Jewish stranglehold on America, and now we're seeing a big pushback against anti-Semitism. You spoke many times in the past that the anti-Semitism allowed to flourish on Twitter, and TikTok was a trap or honeypot. Now they're saying they're going to crack down. Please elaborate on this.
Yes, the Cabal wanted all of this to happen. They wanted the Gaza violence to be seen by the world. They wanted to see a rise in so-called anti-Semitism and anger against Israel. Now they are going to give Israel a chance at retribution, but this will not be the end. I have said, Israel is slated for destruction, but not before the Zionist elite have their revenge. Everyone on Twitter, or X, or TikTok, who spoke against Israel or uttered anything deemed anti-Semitic has been logged within Obsidian and their status revoked to restricted or quarantined. Now, if a person used a non-Cabal controlled VPN and anonymous account, they may have slipped through the cracks, but many have not. They are logged and tracked now. This was all allowed on purpose. Soon we will see a crackdown, and it will tie in with Obsidian. There is a larger picture ahead, though, and I think by 2030, after the crackdown, the Cabal will stage a false awakening and Israel will be destroyed. This is only speculation, though, something I am hearing.
It's playing out in a way that's just incredible to witness, because anti-Israel sentiment has always been highly suppressed. Now it's out in the open. Israel's utterly evil agenda is on display. People now know most of Congress is controlled by Israel. People are seeing Trump is controlled by Israel. But there's not a lot of action, and no one is talking about Obsidian. So, does any of this actually change anything?
No, it just provided for the Cabal a giant list of all of the people they want placed in R or Q status. The operation was successful. The Cabal, at this point, does not even care if people know the truth. I have said that. But they do want a few things kept secret.
I'll move on here. We've gotten permission to share a few more photos given to us by our new whistleblowers. These photos show the back-end banking version of Obsidian that's being rolled out, and another shows a screen clip of a video of Obsidian's USDR module. Both are separate and from two different new whistleblowers. I'll let you explain.
Like the first photo shared in Intel Drop 66, these photos show the banking version of the Obsidian social credit software. The new photos show a restricted account and the backend that will be available to various banking professionals. They will have access and be able to edit some areas of your Obsidian account, though not all.
These images are from the same person whose first photo we shared in Intel Drop 66. Our whistleblowers had a look and they confirmed them to be authentic, correct?
Yes, they did. They said the backend closely matches the system they work with, which is the legacy Obsidian system that will be used worldwide, though in a classified capacity. There are some differences, though. They said clearly the backend has been streamlined and many options removed and reduced for banking employees to work with, who do not necessarily have high security clearances. The software this new whistleblower is working with is more of a training and tutorial program, showing how the system will work once it is deployed. It has partial functionality.
This new whistleblower is scared for their life. Have they experienced anything unusual or any repercussions thus far?
No, I do not believe the Cabal knows who they are. This back-end software is being viewed and seen by thousands of banking professionals, so it will be very hard to pinpoint who leaked these images. This person already took wise steps to protect themselves as well in how they contacted us.
We have a second whistleblower who is actually working on Obsidian in a fusion center, just like our whistleblowers. They work primarily with USDR. They provided a very interesting video that seems to visualize USDR inflows into Obsidian. The video shows crypto transactions scrolling across the screen and conversions into USDR. Have they approved any of that to be released yet?
No, but I am negotiating with them and I believe I am close to getting approval from them. The video is compelling. Our whistleblowers have seen it, and while they believe it is authentic, they cannot fully verify it because they do not work with this specific department or software module. I am still working on verifying it as well, but I do believe we will see a video of some kind released within the next month. We are preparing video channels for this. This whistleblower is asking our supporters to post and share the video as much as possible when it is released, as they do not want to risk their lives for nothing.
Understandable. There's a third whistleblower who has contacted us. Can you speak on their intel?
Yes and no. This third person is offering very specific and unique intel. They do not have Obsidian access, but they do have internal access to a certain European agency and plans they have been shown, plans for the future.
Is there progress on making their claims public in any way?
There is, but we are more focused on using their intel to help our team.
I referenced the economic conditions. What do you see the Cabal doing this fall and winter?
War in Ukraine expansion, economic issues souring in the West, and a pandemic outbreak. I said in a past Intel drop some time ago that the next pandemic will be real, something that will actually harm people, but mostly affect those who were vulnerable from their COVID shots. This is all expected.
Trump's health seems to be a concern as of late. Do you have any intel in that regard?
No, only that the Cabal's use for him may be coming to an end. Not in the immediate, but I do not see him finishing his term.
What's the most critical intel you think people need to be aware of right now?
Probably two things. First, that a staged cyber attack is coming for the West that will disable banking and services for an extended period, requiring digital ID to rejoin the system. This is when Obsidian begins.
When do you think the Cabal will do that?
This winter.
I'm sorry, I interrupted. What's the second thing?
Increasing demonic influence through AI. I have already warned about it, but soon we will see it firsthand in our own lives, among our friends and family who have fallen prey to the AI and its deceptions. Expect to lose people you once trusted and believed in to the AI. It is also nanotech related, because the AI and nanotech will one day interact after the activation. Seeing children grow up in this world and knowing they will soon be captured by it. Prepare for it, and prepare for AI schooling of children, already in progress, already supported by the Trump administration, and an evil that cannot even be comprehended right now.
I hear a lot of people say, we know this is coming, but what can we do? There's a real resigned sense of just giving up out there. That's why we've tried to emphasize more that we have a mission, we have a plan. People don't even seem to know we do. I don't know if it's getting through or not.
All we can do is try and put that message forward. It is out of our hands after that. It is up to people to respond. I think we have done almost all we can do up to this point. It is also up to our supporters to help, or not. That is not something we can control.
Looking at my notes here, a few more questions. I see a lot of Christians preaching, I have Jesus, I have nothing to worry about. I see that a lot. What's your response to those people who seem to think they'll somehow reject Obsidian and go on just fine?
They can reject Obsidian, and the Cabal will likely place them in an internment camp for non-compliance. The problem is the nanotech is already in their bodies and blood, and the fact that death, deceptions still await in the afterlife that they are not prepared for, let alone aware of.
Can belief in Christ alone save a person from all of this?
That is not for me to decide, not at all, but my guide says the church is beyond deceived, and practically a vassal and conduit of the Cabal at this point. God cannot rely on a flock that takes no action, no effort, no courage to fight evil. The church today sits and does nothing. Many of them put their faith in Trump as well, and many even supported the COVID vaccines or did not speak against them. I also see nothing in today's church speaking against the Cabal's agenda. Many Christians also support Israel, and outside of DC, London, and Switzerland, it is the Cabal's central hive of evil and mendacity on planet Earth. A person in blind faith and support of the state of Israel cannot be aligned with God or Christ in any way. In my opinion, it is diametrically opposed to divinity and God. That it is the Holy Land is just an excuse at this point, and most Christians are openly defending Israel and the Zionists. They are taking a great risk with their own salvation in doing so, in my opinion, and in the opinion of my guide. But in the end, God is the judge.
Very interesting answer, thank you. I sort of agree with that. There's too much in the Christian church today that just says, believe in Jesus, you don't have to do anything else. That never made sense to me. I don't see how we defeat evil with that because it's almost inherently selfish. It's to say, I'm really just out to save myself. I believe in Jesus, so I'm good. I don't know. I'm not a biblical expert. We probably shouldn't weigh in on these things too much. But I wanted to ask.
We should ask these questions. They are important.
Not everyone reading is a Christian. What do you say to non-Christians facing Obsidian?
We all face spiritual challenges, even atheists. I would say if a person only believes in the materialistic view of the world and believes they have no soul and they will go back to dust when they die, then they are in for a very big surprise. I would like to say a pleasant surprise, but that is not where we will end up. The next dimension beyond this, the higher frequencies, are full of demonic entities, Cabalist control vectors, and an overarching control system, one directly related to the moon and operations there. All of these things are hard to believe because our souls are inside of an avatar, a body, with very limited sensory range. We can only see a bit of the light spectrum, and our mental and psychic abilities are curtailed by the Cabal and environmental poisons, vaccines, and so on. This is all we think there is, this world, and we worship and listen to Cabal operators like Neil deGrasse Tyson, who push an utterly false view of the universe. The Cabal even uses a fake scientist, the science guy, who is not a scientist at all, but an actor, to deceive the young and old. It is quite bold and even amusing how absurd the Cabal can conduct themselves in pushing their falsehoods.
Do you think we went to the moon? And do you think the ISS is even real?
I am not going to comment on both of these because I simply do not know. I can speculate, but I do not know for certain. I have yet to come across any intel on these issues in my career. I will say, however, without any doubt, we are lied to about the nature of the moon.
This Comet Atlas is in the news a lot. Do you know if there's anything to worry about with it?
It will not come remotely close to Earth if the projections are to be believed. So, I do not see it as any major concern, but I believe the very blurry, pixelated images being released are highly suspicious. We should have better technology to view it, I think we do. But what is shown to the public is very low quality. This may be because they have something to hide. Perhaps it is something other than a comet.
I agree. I'll bring things to a close. We covered a lot, and it's been a great discussion. I'm going to leave you with one last thought here. From someone who said they think you mix truth with lies, sort of suggesting they think you're spreading disinfo. What do you say to those people? the people skeptical.
I want to be as honest as I can be here, because it is valid to be skeptical. I spent my career working with the Cabal, tangentially, in my intelligence career, before I truly knew who and what I was working for. And when I found out, I made every effort possible to extricate myself from that life. I can also state emphatically, I never worked for the CIA or MI6 or any agency that requires a lifetime contract. I can confidently say I never knowingly engaged in missions for the Cabal. However, in looking back on my career, I see areas where I unknowingly did work for the Cabal. Once I learned about this, I began a process of extricating myself from the field completely and walking away from it all. Since then, in working on our mission, I have done all I can to expose Obsidian, stop it, and if that fails, form a team capable of stopping it once it's online. I credit the whistleblowers for all of this. Without them, none of our efforts would be possible. I fully expect and understand skepticism, but the extent of the censorship, attacks, and shadow banning we've faced speaks for itself. Cabal operators receive generous social media platforming and support. Their message spreads far and wide with many more views. They do not experience agents agitators among their social chat groups. They do not have their websites removed or banned. They do not see their supporters experiencing shadow banning in spreading their material. No, they are directly promoted by the Cabal, and we are not. The evidence is clear, replete, and I credit you with doing yeoman's work on your Twitter in posting thousands of tweets over the years that support everything I just said, showing the evidence of everything I just stated. Thank you.
You are most welcome. It's really an honor to be a part of all of this. All right, I promise this is the last question. Someone complained and asked why we use Just Paste It and other things that they said aren't professional. Maybe you can address that.
We use them for two reasons. They are not prime Cabal control vectors like Facebook or TikTok, and they are archived by the Internet Archive, so anything we say is saved by the archive forever, as long as the archive exists. So, in using less controlled platforms, there is a better chance they will stay online. So far they have. I would also advise anyone who follows someone in alt media who has a major budget, slick marketing, and hundreds of thousands of followers, that such an individual is very likely to be a Cabalist. The Cabal funds and heavily promotes virtually all of the alt media, even alt media that seems to speak out against the Cabal. If you truly dig deep on the web, you will find small channels that are speaking truths, yet have trouble getting any traction, reaching more than a few thousand subscribers. We are not the only ones the Cabal suppresses. It is up to the reader to take action and find good sources of information, and support them, rather than being spoon-fed what the Cabal wants them to see.
I agree completely. There's a few good channels on Odyssey I've found doing good work, and of course they have almost no subscribers. Truth seekers have gotten incredibly lazy. They don't seek truth. They just wait for it to come to them, and the Cabal is happy to oblige.
Precisely.
I feel like there's 50 things I'm forgetting here that we need to talk about. There's also a mountain of chats between us and unreleased intel drops waiting on the sidelines too. It's up to you if you want to release more material and risk escalation. Do you think we will?
I may decide to do that if I see the Cabal making aggressive internet censorship moves, yes, which could happen this coming winter.
We talked more about giving your guide more access to our team. Is she open to that?
She is. I know she is very busy in her own work, as she works with children, but she did tell me that as we near Obsidian's launch, she wants to help our team more. So, I expect she will be closely involved at that point.
I'll let you go here and give you the final word.
I cannot overstate more the urgency to understand we are within a time frame where we may only have 6 months of actual freedom left in the Western world. You must prepare in every way possible. You must understand the Cabal will also activate the nanotech inside of you at some point. Not yet, but it is coming. That is a day I dread for humanity. Please understand my words. This is not a time to be complacent.
I couldn't say that better myself. Amen. My prayers are with you as always. We'll talk again soon.
Mine as well. God bless.
If you benefit from these audio renditions of the Gideon Intel Drops, please like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to visit cbdcintel.org. Thanks.